So we are going to get rolling. We are doing a Q&A for the podcast today. And for Q&As, a little bit of Monster just helps keep the brain sharp. So guys, we're going to give it about a minute. I have some questions from the week that we are going to go over. But if you have questions you want to ask, drop them in the comments right now. And we will get into your questions as well. So we've got about half an hour at most. So drop questions in there. The first questions that get asked will be the first ones answered within reason, depending on what you put in there. If you put in something real stupid, then I'm just going to skip over it. But if you have questions, drop them in the comments. And we are going to be getting into them in about 30 seconds. Hello. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. 17 people here on the Instagram stream already. That's pretty nice. We're off to a good start. But guys, we're doing a Q&A. Drop questions in the comments below, and as we get them, we are going to get into them. We're going to, we're going to go in about 30 seconds, a little bit less than that, and I've got a few questions here. If you drop them in the comments, I will get to yours first. I'm seeing some good ones come in, so let's get rolling. Guys, we are going to go now in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are doing a little bit of Q&A. We've got the Instagram live stream going. We got 17 people here already. I've got some questions that have been asked through the week, and we are going to dive into them right away. So the first question: hey, I have a 2-round, 2-minute fight in 5 weeks. How should I structure my endurance training for the event? So the biggest thing you got to remember always is conditioning is the athlete's ability to match the energy demands of the sport. So when you think 2-minute rounds, don't just think I need to do 4-minute conditioning sessions. Think, what do I need to do within those 4 minutes? I need to be fast. I need to be explosive. I need to be strong. I need to be powerful. And I need to be able to repeat that for the whole duration of the 2 rounds, 2 minutes each. So the things I want to really reinforce with you is this is going to depend a little bit on what trainings look like up until this point. If you haven't been doing any kind of weights or anything like that, I would be making sure that I've got weights in there 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, because it's going to be in 5 weeks. So the next 3 weeks, you're lifting weights 3 times a week. The focus is strength. So we're going to hit 4 to 5 exercises, and we're going to hit 4 to 5 sets of 4 to 6 reps of each exercise. And that's going to span through the whole body. So like 2 upper body and 3 lower body, 3 upper body and 2 lower body, kind of mix it up like that. And the reason for that is that's building your foundation of strength. That's like building the foundation before you build the house. And so that's the starting point. And then on top of that, with the conditioning work, the energy system specific work, what we want to make sure you're doing is hitting 2 aerobic power sessions per week. So that would be like, as an example, 90 seconds of work followed by 3 minutes of rest. The 90 seconds as close to, if not 100% effort for the whole time, the highest pace you can maintain. And that can be done on an air bike. That can be done in a circuit. That can be done in any kind of way that is going to maintain high output. Now, that's the conditioning work. And then the plyometric stuff for the next 3 weeks while we're building strength, I'd be focusing in more on stability and then explosive power, a rate of force development, is what I was trying to say. So one plyometric drill would be focused around your ability to absorb force. So like one of my favorite drills for that, very, very simple: start on one foot, hop laterally over to the other foot, land and find a stable, strong base on the other foot. Do 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps of that exercise. After you do that, you're going to pick a box jump or a med ball heave, different variation. You can find a few of those on my page. And what you're going to do is the focus with these is going to be explosive power. So with the box jump, making sure that you're putting as much power into your jump as possible, not just trying to reach the top of the box. And then with the med ball heave, making sure that we're getting power through rotation in the core or through power in the arms, not just, and then trying to hit the same spot with the heave every single time. For those 3 to 4 sets, 4 to 5 reps of each one. And then keeping a similar structure like that for the for the 3 weeks leading up. And then that final 2 weeks before the fight, week 1 is going to be all power focused. This is going to be 2 weeks out, sorry. And then the last 7 days is all recovery. So the power and speed focus, what you're going to do for that day, for that week, sorry, 3 sessions still. The weights are going to stay a lot lighter because you're focused on keeping the weights as explosive as you can keep them. And then the plyometric drills, we're going to focus more on power output and repeatability. So like instead of just a normal box jump, a hurdle into a box jump. And the focus is how quickly you can generate the amount of power off the ground into the box jump. Now, things like that are going to just help you output power faster. So you've got more ability to output power because of the strength. And then you've got a quicker pop on your shots because of the improved rate of force development. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea. And then with the conditioning stuff, now we want to switch it to 2 anaerobic alactic sessions. So very, very short duration, very, very high intensity. This, I would go air bike to make it simple. 15 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest for 6 to 8 rounds. 2 sessions like that, and then 1 aerobic power session like you were doing in the first few weeks there too. And then that last week, recovery, recovery, recovery. So I hope that gives you a pretty good idea. I know I talked fast on that. If you need to review it, go to the YouTube channel, Coach Dusseault Conditioning, after this recording, and you will be able to see it right there as well. And the podcast should be out as well in the next couple of weeks here. So next question, can you show the stance for the MMA? I'm not a skills coach, so I'm not going to go over anything stance-wise, so no. But if you do want to learn more about that, if you are at an MMA gym, I would talk to your MMA coaches. If you are not, then I would look up the nearest MMA gym to you in your city. Go check them out, talk to them about stance stuff. All right, next question. Is it most efficient to fight closest to your walk around weight? No. And the reason that it's not, and again, so before we say no 100%, if you're weighing in the same day that you're fighting, that's a different story. But I'm talking like 24-hour or 36-hour before weigh-ins. No. And the reason you don't want to fight close to walk around weight is because the chances are the person you're fighting has been cutting weight. So I hear people say, they're like, oh, I'm not going to be as dehydrated, so I'll have more energy. But if you're fighting a guy who's 25 pounds heavier than you, who has slightly less energy than you, they're probably still going to be able to dominate you. So instead, what you need to do is you need to learn proper weight cutting methods, and then you should be able to cut more weight without massively dehydrating yourself, still have all the energy you need to fight the next day, and not be giving up a huge size advantage to your opponent. The way to do that is search the name at Coach TJW on Instagram, send him a message and say, I need to learn how to cut weight. And then he will talk you through how he can help you with weight cuts. That is going to be the most effective way. Other than that, there is information on the internet, but I'm always a big believer, if you want the right thing, find a coach that's done this multiple times, hire them and get them to help you, because that way you're going to get the best answers. If I can't run, what is the best exercise for the best cardio? I have a fight in 30 days. So first off, you don't need to run. So no problem that you can't run, because running, fighting, not the same thing, regardless of what people might tell you. What you need is the conditioning that running gives you, right? So if you can't run, even if you can run, my favorite exercise for conditioning is an air bike. And the reason for it is because conditioning is all about output. Conditioning is all about matching the energy demands of the sport, like I was saying in that first question that got asked. So if you're 30 days away, now again, going off of very limited information, I have a fight in 30 days. That doesn't tell me necessarily, how training's been so far. Are you like just starting conditioning stuff now? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer as if it was a regular fight peak. You've been doing your strength work, your aerobic work and stuff leading into this. And now we are in the last 4 weeks. So in the last 3 weeks of hard training, because I know you said 30 days, but that would be 3 weeks of hard training and then a fight week. The conditioning work is going to be anaerobic alactic focused. So very, very short duration, very, very high intensity. So the example I gave to the first person who asked a question today was 15 seconds of work followed by 60 seconds of rest. I believe I said for 6 to 8 rounds. The main key with that as well is make sure that it's maximum intensity. So if you're doing that session on the air bike, and I would be doing this 2 days a week, and then 1 day a week, I would go a little bit higher work set and a little bit lower rest. So like 30 seconds on, 60 seconds off, something like that. And the main key here is it's 100% power, right? So if you're doing that 15 on, 60 off session, and you feel like, okay, I hit the sixth round and now my pace is really fading. Now cut it when you feel like you're losing your pace. And a lot of people would say, oh, but I've only done 6 rounds. It's like, yeah, but the goal of these sessions is to improve your ability to throw 100% power. So, because the reason that a lot of people gas out isn't that they can't push a pace, but it's that when they really put power behind their shots as much as they can, they start losing energy faster. And that's what hits that wall where they feel like they're gassing out. The way to get around that is improving your ability to output 100%. So that 15 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest, that's 100% power for 15 seconds, followed by 60 seconds of rest and repeated. If you can only do that for 5 or 6 rounds, keep it at 5 or 6. If you can get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rounds, but you're keeping that power, keep the power. You get what I'm saying? So it's not about how many rounds you can do, it's about the intensity that goes into each round. But also, you don't need to run. Have you been doing boxing? Yes, I've been doing some boxing. The last few weeks, I've been dealing with some issues with my lungs, so it's been on hold a little bit. But I've been doing some boxing with one of my pro MMA fighters in town. Let's see. Is honey good before sparring? I've honestly never heard anybody talking about like honey before sparring, so I couldn't really give you a great answer on that, but I'd be curious to know what the thought is behind it. Now, the next question I'm going to get into was one that got asked through the week. I had somebody ask me what to do if you want to pursue MMA, but you don't have any money. So, guys, very, very plain and simple with questions like this, because I get this kind of stuff a lot. It's like, well, I want to pursue it, but I don't have money, or I want to pursue it, but like I don't have time with work. The way I look at this every single time is you need to figure it the fuck out. And like, I'm not trying to be a dick here. You just do. Because if you're sitting around right now and you don't have any money, listen, I understand. Like, I've been there, but you need to figure out a way to get the money you need to be able to pursue the goal. Because when you're 92 years old and you're looking back on your life, you don't want to be looking back on your life being like, man, what if I had just, gotten a better job that paid me a little more and I'd actually given that MMA thing a try? What if I had just not spent my money on stupid shit and spent it on my future, like furthering my career instead? It's like you don't want to look back on your life and be thinking that. So if you don't have money, I understand that's a tough spot to be in, but you've got to understand money's out there. Whether that's a better job, whether that's, if you're younger, that's doing chores around the house for X amount of hours a week in exchange for your parents paying for something. Whether that's fucking going around town collecting collecting cans out of the recycle bins and returning them to try to get an extra, 30, 40, 50 bucks here and there. Like, again, that's obviously one very, very easy answer. But the point is, money's out there. Like, money's out there. And if this goal is important to you, you need to figure out how to get it. That could be a job. That could be a different job. That could be whatever it might be. You need to figure out how to get it. Now, the next question I'm going to get into is another one that got asked through the week. And this one I always find interesting. So I had somebody ask me on one of my Instagram posts, how can you coach fighters if you don't fight? And guys, I'm going to explain this to you very simply. I don't coach the skills. I'm not here telling a fighter how to throw their jab or how to throw a high kick, or I'm not here building game plans. I'm here helping fighters get stronger, get faster, get more explosive, and get better conditioned. That has nothing to do with your ability to throw punches and kicks. So the reason that we can do that, the reason that I can do that without being a competitive fighter is because that's not the same thing. I train professional fighters all around the world, high-level amateur fighters all around the world, world champion athletes that could all beat the shit out of me without breaking a sweat. But the reason that they hire me is because I have the knowledge to help them get stronger, help them get faster, help them prevent injuries, help them improve their conditioning so that they can fight at even higher levels than they're fighting right now. So the way I can coach fighters without being a fighter is plain and simple because I have the knowledge in the area that these athletes lack. So they hire me to give them the knowledge to help them perform at a higher rate. And the reason I wanted to bring this one up is because I see this question or this kind of conversation all the time. I'll post a video talking about a certain type of conditioning and I'll get a comment being like, well, like, let's see you fight. And I'm like, my ability to fight and my ability to understand the conditioning you need to fight are not remotely related. In fact, a lot of fighters don't understand the conditioning that they need to fight. They just understand how to fight, and they're good in spite of the fact that their conditioning is dog shit. Fighters hire coaches to help them improve their conditioning so that they can fight at higher levels. The fighters themselves generally don't create the conditioning plans because they don't have that knowledge. They have the work ethic, they have the drive, they have the determination, they have that mental fortitude to go step into a ring or a cage in front of millions of people, but they have the team in place to teach them the right way to do all the things that they need to do to be able to do that at the highest level. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, one literally has nothing to do with the other. Nothing. Now, on top of that, over the time that I've been working with fighters, I've picked up some martial arts. I've trained a little bit here and there. Again, from a career in powerlifting, I have a lot of pretty messed up areas from being young and not that smart. But so, like, I haven't done anything competitively with it, but I've started, like learning some of the skills and everything like that. And quite honestly, I don't have any desire to do it competitively. I want to keep learning it. I want to keep improving upon what I've learned already, but I have no desire to do that competitively. I have no desire to step in front of the crowd. I love being a part of the team to help my athletes step in front of the crowd. And when you're looking for information online, if you're looking and you're like, well, does this guy even fight? Understand, you shouldn't be looking for, does this guy fight? You should be looking for, does this information make sense? Right? Because if you hear someone say, hey, the right way to build conditioning is A, B, C, and D, and you're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Don't dismiss it because the guy isn't a fighter. Understand that the information makes sense, and then look and maybe ask a couple of questions and then use it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a question I get a lot. So I wanted to dig into it because it's honestly just silly. Like, I understand on the surface why people come to that conclusion, but when you really break it down, it's just goofy. Like, one has nothing to do with the other. But anyway, let's go into the next one. Okay. So somebody asked, will you post that? Yes, the podcast will be posted within a couple of weeks, but go to the YouTube channel, Coach Dusseault Conditioning, and it will be titled Q&A Friday, March, what is today, 15th? So you will be able to see it on the YouTube channel as soon as we're done here. Okay, next question. I am a father of 2 with a newborn of 3 weeks, and I have a kickboxing match in 3 weeks. What can I do for my conditioning while being time efficient so that I can have enough room for skills? So Kid Chocolate MMA, great question. What I want you to understand here is conditioning is like everything we focus on is making it time efficient, right? So when it comes to conditioning, people think the more work I do, the better result I get. And that's just not the way it is. What actually matters is your ability to match the energy demands of the sport. So if you have 3 weeks, if you've been training regularly, first off, congratulations on the newborn. So I don't know how that's been affecting what you've been doing, but I'm going to talk to you as if it's a peak for a fight normally. The way to make this the most time efficient, plain and simple, to get the best result in the least amount of time, is 3 days a week. You're going to hit the gym. You're going to hit 2 to 3 plyometric exercises. Pick between a jump variation, a medicine ball variation, like a throw or a slam or something like that. 3 variations of that for 3 sets of 4 to 5 reps. Then you're going to hit 3 to 4 lifts excuse me. And those 3 to 4 lifts are going to span the whole body. So that can be 2 lower body, 1 upper body, 2 upper body, 1 lower body, depending on where you feel you need the most work. Each exercise, 3 to 4 sets, 4 to 6 reps, 6 to 7 out of 10 intensity, but focused on the power with every movement. So all of the lifts that you're doing should be explosive at this point because you need to be explosive in the fight. Then you're going to hit a conditioning session, and it's going to be based off of what I was talking about before. 15 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest on 2 of the days for 6 to 8 rounds, 100% intensity in the work, full rest. And then on the third day, you're going to bump that up a little bit. You're going to go 30 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest for, again, 6 rounds or so. Max intensity that you can push for the 30 seconds, full rest for the 60. And if you hit something along the lines like that, you're going to see improvements in the conditioning in minimal amounts of time. But the other thing to remember as well, it's 3 weeks. So obviously, like, manage expectations. It's not like if you train for 3 weeks, all of a sudden, like, everything's perfect. Ideally, before fights, I have people training for like 10 to 12 weeks. So that's going to be a very good starting point. I hope you've been doing some training before. I can only imagine with a newborn that gets pretty difficult. So yeah, that would be the way that I do it. That would keep it most efficient with the limited information that I've got, but also depending on how training has been going, we might make some tweaks to that too. So guys, let's see. Do we have another question coming in? Okay. Oh yeah, I like that. Montgomery 60, when you're talking about the not having money, ask gyms to do work around the gym to earn a membership. I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, one more questions. Any body weight time efficient workouts for conditioning? So any body weight time efficient workouts for conditioning, basically the way I'm going to answer this is think output over exercise. Right. So any of the conditioning sessions that you see me post about on my page, like you know, minute and a half of work, 3 minutes of rest, or 15 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest, any of the exercises or the sessions that you see me talk about, think output over exercise. So you can do that 15 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest session with a squat jump, with a sprint, with explosive push-ups, like anything that you can keep that max output with, you can do that session with. Personally, I like air bikes and circuits and stuff because it makes it more fun, makes it more interesting. But if you're keeping 100% power for the work set and then full rest, you're going to get relatively that same output. Having more equipment just gives you more ways to do it, makes it a little more interesting, and then obviously adds variety, which is important too. All right, guys, that is it. That is all. If you've got questions for the next Q&A, make sure you are logging in Friday at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and we will get to as many questions as we can in the time we've got. So, guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Friday, and I'll catch you on the next episode.